Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Eric Huffnagel with the Michigan Coalition Against Homelessness, welcoming you to our October 5th meeting of the Legislative Action Committee. There are lots of things going on. As you hopefully are aware, we want to get you updated on some things and get some input from everybody towards the end of the meeting to see what else is happening that is on your radar screen, either locally or other things that you're aware of at the state or federal level that you wanted to share with everybody. Unfortunately, Laurel Birchfield is not going to be joining us today, so I'm sorry that there was a big sad sigh out there when you heard that, because you're just going to be hearing from me today, and hopefully I can replace her at least adequately. Joining us today, though, is Allison Green. Wanted to turn it over to her. She's going to be just laying out some of the ground rules, the housekeeping stuff, just as a reminder to everybody.
Okay, can everybody hear me? No. Okay, so welcome. During the conversation, if you have any questions that you need addressed, please put it in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll do our best to make sure that all the questions are answered. If there's something that you would like to share verbally, you can also let me know that through the chat, and we can unmute you during the section where we're asking folks to participate and share any information that they have. And as you know, there's the materials were included with the GoToWebinar. So thank you for coming.
Great. Thank you, Allison. Can you advance the slide? We'll just give a quick review of the agenda. Everybody should.
Yep, I just.
Okay, there we go. I got muted and unmuted somehow. I don't know what's going on. I won't take it personally, Allison, if it was you, but I think it was a poltergeist. So just a quick review of the agenda. Just wanted to make sure it's pretty standard, but we're going to have federal updates and then state updates, and we're going to talk about Our Home, Our Votes 2020, and then look for the advocacy updates from the field. So with that, if we can advance the slide. We'll start off with some federal updates today. There is some stuff to report, but not as much as we would like to be reporting. For those of you who've not been paying attention to things, the coronavirus relief package update really revolves around the package that the House had originally proposed, which went nowhere fast. The Senate has not been on board with it. There is a new version that has been streamlined that the House is going to be putting forth. So want you just to be aware of the fact we don't have all the numbers on that, but it is scaling back the things that we have been talking about that were included in the previous package. As more information comes forth, we will pass it along to you. Mind that this is approaching Congress's time to depart for another break before the election. So there may or may not be more action taking place, but if indeed there is something that we think needs some attention, we will let you know ASAP about reaching out to members of Congress regarding any action that may be taken with respect to this package. We did want to report out regarding the CARES Act EDP funding timeline. We've had some questions in the past as to whether or not there would be any opportunity for an extension beyond the December 31st date that was originally set forth. And it was our understanding, which I think has been confirmed through communication, at least through MSHA staff, that that indeed cannot change unless there is congressional action. And so we've not heard anything at this point about anything being moved forward for that, but just be aware that December 31st is the hard deadline at this point, and that there may be a need to be reaching out. And we do want you to actually do that. We'll talk about that a little bit later, how you can get engaged in this process to make sure that we are the squeaky wheel when it comes to this, because I think that there may be a need for us in the state of Michigan to have an opportunity to go beyond the December 31st date. From a policy standpoint, it does look as though that would make sense to give us some more flexibility. Next, I wanted to talk about the budget. Continuing resolution is always the way that things get kicked down the road, and that is exactly the agreement that has taken place with respect to the House and Senate, wanting to make sure that indeed things keep operating, but not making tough decisions before an election. So we are holding pattern, thinking in terms of the next full budget. Again, the election is going to be coming up the works, and we probably will not see any movement at all until after the election. So stay posted on that. Sorry, I don't have more to offer. Next slide, please. There we go. Thank you so much. So state updates, I wanted to talk a little bit about the budget. As you should be aware, there was an agreement between the legislature and the governor's office with respect to a budget. It was something that was a little bit unexpected. There had not been a lot of haggling that was going on or consternation shared publicly about it. And I did want to make sure I pointed out a few things to you. To no one's surprise, there was not significant increases provided across the board in areas where we really felt that they should be taking place because of the strain on the budget due to revenue losses or projections of revenues coming in under what was anticipated previously because of COVID. The impact of COVID reaches far and wide, and of course the state budget is one of those things. So I did want to point out, though, that of the areas that we typically would be thinking about within the budget $62.75 billion. Within that budget, wanted to just report that the emergency shelter program did not have an increase. The good news is also it did not have a decrease. So $18 per diem has been maintained. In the budget, we also see $90,000 allocated for birth certificates, again, similar to what was included in the previous budget. And then one thing I did want to point out, which I think is good news, is $900,000 for the runaway and homeless youth programs. There was funding that was allocated for them previously in the previous year's budget that ended up hitting the chopping block. So through the line item veto, some of that money was removed. And so now what we're seeing is basically a replacement for those dollars. So $900,000 is going to be going to the existing organizations that are using those dollars for those services. So it's not going to be new funding for new programs, but actually additional dollars then for the existing programs that are currently being funded. So that's good news for those folks. Other than that, there isn't anything in particular with respect to the budget that we're aware of that we felt we should be reporting out on. If you know of other things that you think are pertinent, certainly want you to be sharing those with us. The budget sometimes has stuff tucked in it that we don't always find out about right away. So if you heard of anything or anything that you'd like to share that you've seen or heard, please let us know. Put a comment in the questions, etc. We would appreciate that. Help keep us all in the know. Wanted to also just report out on some of the legislative action that's taking place. Not a lot with respect to any bills that have been introduced that have been passed and enacted, but I did want to give you a quick update on some Senate and House bills. Senate Bill 1128 through 1132 were referred to the Senate Committee on Local Government. These are a couple of, or these are a few bills that have been introduced by Senators Chang and Irwin. Don't think they're going to get any legs at this point, but we'll see what happens going forward. The first of the package of bills actually looks at needs assessment for older adults who are displaced by residential revitalization projects. And that's something that would be asking, I believe, Mishta to pursue. That's been referred to Committee on Local Government. Another would be looking at rent control policies, allowing local governments to establish them. That would be repealing a public act from 1988. That also has been referred to a Committee on Local Government. Senate Bill 1130 relates to the use of certain factors in local housing ordinances to designate area median income for affordable housing determinations. And that would be creating a new act, not revising anything currently in existence. Senate Bill 1131 would be a prohibition, I'm sorry, That would be prohibition of local rent control under, see, providing for an exception under the Rent Limitation and Specific Tax Authorization Act, et cetera, et cetera. So that relates a bit to the one I talked about previously. And then Senate Bill 1132 is talking about a rent limitation for senior citizens and individuals with disabilities, authorizing local units of government to impose and provide for a tax exemption and a specific tax. And that would be creating a new act as well. That also has been referred to the Committee on Local Government. Again, not too sure that's going to go much farther than that, but again, those wheels are in motion. We'll see if those progress. Let's see, House Bills 4910 and 4911. This is something that we've reported on before. It has to do with reasonable accommodation for emotional support animals. That's not something that is currently mandated. If you have a, I'm sorry, I can't think of the term. If you have an animal who is assisting you, that is different than an emotional support animal. This would actually basically make that the same category, and so would require accommodation from landlords with respect to allowing those. And that is that's a new act that's tying with the next bill that I'm going to talk about, 4911, which has to do with early lease termination due to misrepresentation of emotional support animal. That, as you may know, is something that was being pursued so that landlords would be able to indicate that someone could be evicted if indeed someone misrepresented the need for an emotional support animal or misrepresented a pet as an emotional support animal. And those both are moving along a little bit. There isn't an expectation that those will be passing. We don't have a timeline on that. And let's see, Senate Bills 846 and 84 through 848. These are new bills that really have to do with trying to address any price gouging that may take place as a result of COVID is the issue here, but it would really relate to any type of an emergency, a declared emergency in the state. So when we're talking about public accommodations, such as excessively increasing pricing in hotels or the lodging industry, under Senate Bill 846 would be addressing that. Senate Bill 847 would be talking about excessive increased pricing for certain goods and services during a declared emergency. And then Senate Bill 848 would be preventing excessively increased pricing for energy products and services during a market disruption. So again, those are trying to react to anyone who may, or any businesses may be trying to take advantage of individuals during a time of emergency, such as this health emergency with respect to COVID. So there, I've covered that ground, and I know Laura would have done it in a much better way. You would have been very happy and had a smile on your face, but instead you got me. So I hope that was helpful giving you the state update. Let's move on to the next slide. I heard some slapping of the keyboard, so technology was not being your friend momentarily, but I think I got it to work. I just wanted to give a quick update on some things that we've already talked about to date in previous meetings, but the Our Homes, Our Votes 2020 campaign is in full swing. As you know, the election is coming up early next month, so we are a month out. Wanted to just point out that the National Low Income Housing Coalition does have a toolkit that's available, voter registration and candidate engagement toolkit, and you should be able to access through the link in the slides that were provided to you. And then something new that I wanted to make sure we pointed out is that MCAH has voter registration FAQ available for individuals experiencing homelessness, and there is a link for that, so you can access that. We would encourage you to take a look at that as well. So next slide. So just wanted to remind you of some key dates. We've already passed some of those dates, but October 19th, the last day to register to vote online or by mail. October 30th is the last day to request an absentee ballot by mail or have it received by. And November 3rd, last day to register in person at certain clerk's offices. And then, of course, the pièce de résistance, the election day on November 3rd. Hopefully all of you have that on your calendar and are anticipating voting if you haven't already got your ballot or not requesting a mail-in ballot. So move on to the next slide. And I just wanted to point out that there are a couple of webinars that we would encourage you either to attend and or to circulate to others. The first is going to be held tomorrow from 12 until 1:30. It is addressing the challenges of voter registration for disenfranchised populations. So we'd definitely like to get the word out on that. And then the other session is actually Thursday, October 15th, and that is how your organization can get out the vote this November. You may be thinking it's a little bit late in process. We've got a month left, but there are still a number of things that each of you as individuals and the organizations you work with can still participate in to move the needle. So we encourage you to do that. Okay, next slide, please. All right, and we wanted to show you some posters that we have available. So if you're interested in getting some of these posters to put up in your offices or in other locations in your community, please reach out to us for that. We're happy to get those out to you. We're very pleased we were able to produce these, but please make use of that. Follow the link there to be able to access those and put your request in. Next slide. And the tweet storm, I referred to this a little bit earlier, but when we're thinking in terms of members of Congress, we would like to make sure that homelessness remains on the radar. And so October 8th from 12 until 2, we're going to be conducting a tweet storm. We'd love to have you involved with this. And we're really wanting to make sure that not only are they paying attention to the issue of homelessness, but those that have not yet filled out the candidate questionnaire that we have put forth, we really would like to see them get engaged in that process. And we do have a toolkit made available. It's a relatively modest resource that you can access to figure out ways that you can get involved through the Twitter storm. Keep in mind that we also have an email option available for those who are not feeling like they are tweet savvy on Twitter. So we do have some options for you with that. We'd love to have you participate in that and to pass the word along to try to get others to also get engaged in the process. Next slide. And just want to report out that we are looking for peer ambassadors. So we're trying to identify individuals who've experienced homelessness or housing insecurity so that they can tell their stories through short videos. These would be basically a self video. If you have a smartphone, you're able to video yourself. We have a tutorial video that's available with some best practices. And we have a $25 gift card that we'd be making available to individuals who were selected to participate in this. The videos would be used on our social media to be able to share, again, individual experiences with homelessness or housing insecurity, first-person accounts, or basically indicating the importance of the services that are provided and how individuals can be assisted directly through the work that's being done by all of you out in the field. So please take a look at that. We've got a link there on the page. I'd like you to take a look at that, click on that, and you'll get more information, but I would encourage you to put the word out to help identify people to participate in it. All right, next slide. Our Homes, Our Votes 2020. Just wanted to remind people of ways that they can get involved. We've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. You see that there are some links available. So would like you to just float through those. If you have any interest in those, please take a few moments to go through it. And keep in mind that there are some 501c3 restrictions, so please be aware of what is lobbying versus advocacy. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us going forward. Next slide. Okay, MICA updates. November is Homeless Awareness Month. Please pay attention to that. It's coming up very fast. If you're interested in it or have not yet thought about it, but would like to have some ideas, we do have some information available, so follow that link that is provided down below. We have also a contest, our annual poster contest. We'd love to have some additional entries come in. The entry form is there in your slides. We'd love to have you get the word out on that and have people submit some of their creative artwork to help us in getting the word out about homelessness during this month. Keeping in mind that the theme is Home is Essential. This year's theme is Home is Essential for Homeless Awareness Month. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is where we're talking about, what's happening in the field. Can I turn it over to you? I'm having a technical issue on this end. Allison, would you be able to help facilitate this and get people to share what's going on in the field? Now, these are things that you may be doing or things that you may be aware of. We'd love to hear from you, so please use this as an opportunity to share.
I can. Also, we have a question of where do they access the toolkit for the tweet storm? Okay, so I will try to find that answer and type it into the chat or send it out after. Does anyone want to share what's going on in your community? I can unmute you, or you can put something in the chat. Okay, let's see. Anna has her hand raised. I've unmuted you, Anna. Nope. Amanda, I've unmuted you.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. So I'm Amanda Carlisle from the Washtenaw Housing Alliance here in Washtenaw County, and just wanted to share that on November 3rd, on Election Day, the City of Ann Arbor residents are going to get to vote, or maybe even sooner if they're doing absentee, vote on an affordable housing and services millage. It's a 1 mil proposal for 20 years, and we anticipate that if the proposal C does pass, that this would be able to create about 1,500 units of new affordable housing for folks that are earning up to 60% of 0 to 60% of area median income. And so in our area, that's about $40,000 for a household size of 1 or $60,000 for a household size of 4. So we are very excited and asking folks in the city of Ann Arbor to vote yes on Prop C. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, Anna, I'm going to try to unmute you again. Let's see if this works this time. No. You have yourself on mute, Anna. So if you would like to speak, you need to unmute yourself, it's saying to me. Would anybody else like to share anything? All right. Well, thank you, Amanda, for sharing. We just want to remind you that our next meeting is November 2nd. So if you're signed up for the Legislative Action Committee meetings, you'll receive a reminder regarding this webinar. Let other folks know who might be interested in advocating that they can attend. We love that you attend and your participation, and we really appreciate you guys coming out today to hear what's going on. please reach out if you have any more questions that you think of later regarding what Eric discussed today, and we will be sure to answer your question as quickly as we can. And Eric, are you still on? Is there anything else you wanted to add? Nope. Okay, guys, thanks so much. Have a good afternoon.